he gets on the train, he goes up into Tennessee, over and then down into Alabama. All they needed was a section of track to connect that area of Alabama to Mississippi. But the Yankees were too busy building everything up north to care about us poor Southerners. Well, we weren't poor at that time. We were the richest section in the whole nation. When the South succeeded, somebody told, now this is an antecedent, by the way. Somebody told Lincoln, well, Mr. President, why don't you let them go? He said, if I let them go, who's going to pay the bills? Oh, so you thought this was all about slavery? Oh, I think you've been reading somebody else's version of our war for independence. Now, basically, it says in article, let's see, let me give it something, let's see, where is it? Okay. On one of your pages there, you should see a verse from the Bible. One of those, I can't remember which one. Anyway, you'll see it, it says it's a listing of tariffs. On the back page of it, you'll see a article from the Confederate Veteran about the moral tariff. That was from the November-December issue of the Confederate Veteran. Anybody read that article? Very lengthy, very wordy, but very good article. Now you say, what was the moral tariff? Some of my visitors may wonder, what is it? All right, if you see that chart I put on there, that's from another presentation I give called Yankee Yarns and Confederate Corrections. Anyhow, that's a slide from that, and what it shows you is the rate of the tariff. All those different years it was passed, and you'll see when it went up, that's when the South Carolina about withdrew in the 1830s, as I said before. But it went back down. But in February 1861, when there's no Southern senators or representatives left hardly, what did the Yankee Congress do almost from the very get-go? They passed the moral tariff, which hikes the tariff or the tax rate to 47%. Whoa! That would not have happened if the Southern legislators had been there. But we went bye-bye because we had a new nation. And that's why they did it. Hike the tax rate up. All right, let's move on. Point number 3, Port Barrel Clause 10, going back up the Constitution. All bills appropriating money shall specify in federal currency the exact amount of each appropriation and the purposes for which it is made. And Congress shall, now watch this, and Congress shall grant no extra compensation to any public contractor, officer, agent, or servant, after such contract shall have been made or such service rendered. What does that mean? Well, how long was that thought? Does anybody here remember in 2009, the United States Congress passed a 1,000+ page bill that was on health care? We call that today Obamacare, don't we? And what is our great state? Now, by the way, I lived in South Carolina for about a year. And I proudly claim heritage in North and South Carolina. So don't shoot me just because I live over the state line. Anyhow, what did the great state of South Carolina say? We want to nullify. Oh, well, nobody's heard a notification since when? The 1860s. Nobody heard a notification since when? The 1830s. South Carolina's leading the way yet again. Where a state can nullify, that means make it null and void. That means of no importance, no effect. And the powers that be don't like that. Anyhow, how about in 2010, a 1,000+ page climate bill was proposed in Congress. What is that about? Global warming. In this year, as of, let's see, June 24th, 2013, we have an immigration bill. It's been called the amnesty bill, but right now, well, back in June, numbered 1,170 pages long. Now, wait a minute, guys. How in the world do you get a 1,000-page stack of paper? I mean, if they're so cotton-picking concerned about the global warming, stop cutting down all the trees to print all the bills in Washington. Anyway, no extra charge. Does it take 1,000 pages to address a single topic? I mean, Commander, sometimes reverends are called neverends. Maybe thank God the politicians aren't the preachers, or else we'd be in the church service for 5 days. If it takes 1,000 pages to address a single topic, for crying out loud, no. It doesn't take 1,000 pages to talk about a single topic in Washington. I'll tell you, and you know what it is. These bills that are over 1,000+ pages are called omnibus, Christmas tree, bills. And the reason is, they start out talking about this, and then the great senator from the state of Rhode Island says, we want a bridge. And so they stick an amendment in there. And then another one stands up and says he wants this, and they stick an amendment to it. And by the end of it, you might have 5,000 different things, shenanigans, having a big fiesta in one bill. And nobody's read the thing. Let me get over here. Didn't Speaker Pelosi say, oh, he got to pass the thing so he can read it? Oh, that's smart. Now listen, if you're a Democrat, Republican, that ain't got no bones about it. I'm telling you what these people, the enlightened leaders of our country, have said. You said, well, we ain't supposed to talk politics or religion. Well, you done stepped in it when you got me. I'm a preacher and I like politics. And guess what this is all about? The war was all about what? How do you interpret the Constitution? And that's what I'm trying to show you. You can believe what you want to believe. Anyway, if Dixie had won her war for freedom, because the Confederate Constitution allows for no open-ended spending, each cent spent from the Confederate Treasury had to be allocated. Once approved, there could be no more. And so that means forever, in Dixie, there could be no peace. I'd like some more. There'd be none of that. Furthermore, if you spend money for the Confederate Treasury, what? You got to have 2/3 majority vote, not the simple majority. According to the New York Times, approximately 1,000 earmarks totaling $1.7 billion were authorized by the United States Congress in 2010. Is there any wonder these United States of America are 16,738,482,606,783.04, that is, as of yesterday, in debt? If I had 4 cents with me, I could pay the 4 cents part, but oh, I'm sorry, every person alive, from the little baby to the oldest person in America, owes the federal debt $137,000. I'm going to have to make payments, guys. I think if the Confederate States were a free and independent nation, we'd be the ones bailing out the United States, not Red China. You ever stop thinking about that? You say, how do you know? God, if it was happening then, it's kept happening since then. Who remembers the last time the United States was debt-free? What is it, Greg? Robert Cleveland, go back. Anybody?
Andrew Jackson.
Bingo. Andrew Jackson, 1835. That's the last time the federal debt said 0.00. And we went from 1835 to Mr. Obama, $16 trillion in the hole. And we ain't getting out of here. I'm no prophet, aren't you? But this nation is going down. And I don't say that proudly. I say that very sadly. My heart is broken. Greg, is next in January. Him and his wife are bringing a baby girl into the world. And the doctor ain't going to have to slap her on the tushy to get her to breathe. All he's going to have to do is hold her up and say how much she owes the federal government. And then she'll cry. And she ain't spent a dime yet. And you say, oh, this is history. No, it's now. And it all comes from this war that everybody tells me to forget. You lost the war. Let's get over it. No, it's alive right now. The reason we're in the mess we're in now is because of a thing that happened on April 9th, 1865, when my ancestor, Robert E. Lee, laid down and had to surrender to Ulysses S. Grant due to overwhelming numbers. Did not Lord Acton write General Lee in 1869? And did he not tell him that he mourned more for what was lost to the Appomattox than what was saved at the Battle of Waterloo? Shoot, get me riled up, will you? Article 1, Section 9, Clause 9 basically stipulates that the Confederate States would move from the Treasury money to pay for its own expenses and anything else that was required by 2/3 majority vote. As previously stated, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 20 detailed another attempt to curtail the out-of-control Yankee impulse by confining all bills to one subject, stated in the title, so much for having 11,692 personal staff for the 535 members of Congress in 2009. You didn't know they had that much staff, did you? Why do they need so much staff? Because they got 1,000+ pages bills and they need somebody to read it and say, what does all this stuff have in it?
Yes.
I mean, guys, in 2009 there were 399 chiefs of staff serving in the federal government to our legislators and congressmen, and each one of them made about $120,000 a year, and they ain't even elected. Then you go to the bottom one, a legislative correspondent who prints out letters. There were 347 of them in 2009, and they made $31,950. Guys, I don't make that as a preacher or working at Dollar General. Maybe I need to go to the Congress. And maybe I could pay for my meal, my medical debt, and my wife's. I don't know. Look, all these political think tanks, radio people and politicians, every time we have an election, they go up promising reform. And you know what they're acting like, in my opinion? I like 5 Big Macs, 2 large fries, 3 apple pies, and a small Diet Coke because I'm trying to lose weight. Oh yeah, well, every time it comes election, they'll say, we're going to cut the spending roll. They don't never do it. Whether you've got an R beside your name or a D beside your name, guys, it keeps going up and up and up every cycle. Something's broke. And it ain't the common decent folk in America, I don't think. Point number 4, I think it's 4. Line item veto. You can read that, Article 1, Section 7, Clause 2. Basically what it says is if the Confederate president doesn't like, say, he's got 3 sections, Section 1, 2, and 3 in a bill, and he don't like the middle one, then he'll exit out. And then he'll pass that and send it back to the Congress. That's line item veto. Well, guess what? Every single United States president has wanted line item veto. And they ain't got it, but one, Bill Clinton. The Congress, specifically on April 9th, 1996, I wonder if that was a conspiracy to slap Southerners in the face. I don't know. Anyway, they gave him, Bill Clinton, line item veto. Well, he got to use it, and buddy, did he use it? I didn't count how many times he used it, but he used it until February 12th, 1998. 1 year, 10 months, and 3 days. Why did he stop using it? Because the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. Not by the Confederate Constitution, but according to the United States Constitution. You say, well, what does that matter? Well, guys, look, what are they doing? Senate passes the bill, the House verifies that, they send it to the President, he says, I don't like it, he vetoes it. So then they got to go back and start the whole process over again. If you had line item veto, they would have to stay up there on the same topic all the time. You see? How about Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2? The executive power shall be vested in the President of the Confederate States of America. He and the Vice President shall hold their offices for the term of 6 years. But the President shall not be re-eligible. The President and Vice President shall be elected as follows. And if you're interested in that, you can read the Confederate States Constitution. What does that mean? That means
term limit.
We would have only a 1-term president.